let's talk about Dynamite because we gotta, and there's a lot of other stuff to talk about too. A couple of things. We'll try to go through this pretty quickly. I might not want to keep you guys too long. Apparently, Wembley is like they said 10,000 paid tickets away from matching or surpassing WrestleMania. I think they said 32 for the all-time attendance record, whatever that is. I guess it's paid seats or whatever. They put up this placard of WrestleMania versus All In. You know, All In hasn't happened yet, which means you can't count any of those people yet because they haven't entered the building yet. So they are trying to kind of create this conception that All In is about to be the biggest wrestling show in history, which it very well may be. I don't know, and it won't make a bit of a difference to me anyway. Ultimately, to have two wrestling promotions to be able to sell 50,000 tickets or more in the same year is pretty damn impressive. It's actually showing that the business is a lot stronger than most people are willing to give it credit for. Am I willing to go down the whole "it's the boom period"? I don't know if I want to go do all that because that stuff entitles a lot of other information. But not even WCW sold 50,000 tickets to a one show. You know, not even one. Even the Goldberg-Hogan Georgia Dome match, I think that did 36,000 tickets. I think with comps and basically attendance, which means you count everybody in the building, it was over 40,000. But I think if you actually just count people who actually paid to be in the building, it was like 36,000 and some change. So, assuming all of these tickets that are bought for Wembley are going to be used, it's going to be a pretty big event, man. It's going to be huge. At least I hope so, because the egg on their face, if there's large patches of empty seats in that building, will be absolutely ridiculous. I'm telling you, I will not stop talking about it. If there's huge patches of seats missing after they've been talking about how it's going to pass WrestleMania 3, it's going to pass WrestleMania 32, it's going to be the biggest show of all time. And then if there's places that are tarps off, we're definitely going to have a conversation about the wrestling media. So I especially Meltzer. So we definitely hope that for at least for his sake, that every ticket is a real ticket and a real human being actually shows up. All right. Second, news and notes. Roosh has re-signed with Ring of Honor. I mean, not with Ring of Honor, even though he probably could end up in Ring of Honor. He's re-signed with AEW. That's nice. It's a good decision. I would imagine the Andrade staying around has something to do with it. So good for them. Now they have to actually use them correctly. You know, and in what way will they use them? I don't know, because I don't see anything in the plan so far. All right, so the one thing that I did want to talk a lot about is Kevin Nash and his critique of AEW and why the show is not growing. So Kevin Nash said, quote, "I think that what you do when you allow that much blood and that much spot fest, you paint yourself into a certain demographic that's going to watch the program. They haven't grown that audience. There's a reason why they're not growing the audience. While in the meantime, WWE is doing some really nice ratings." Okay, so I get it, and he's not wrong. For starters, people have said this for years. People told Paul Heyman this. People have told Dixie Carter this. And when you start doing the spot fests and the blood and the gore and all this kind of stuff, certain people are turned off by that, which is the reason why Tony Khan supposedly put out this list of things you're not supposed to be able to do. And then they immediately break them on the first show afterwards. And they've been breaking them on every show since. I mean, there's people getting strangled on this show right here. People getting stabbed with screwdrivers. All just sorts of nonsense. It's just, what is rules if they don't have any teeth to them? They're just suggestions. But to Kevin Nash, a lot of people were very upset about him saying this. But you have to remember, Kevin Nash worked in the business where, in the WWF, when he was a star, there was not a lot of blood. You know, blading was a no-go in WWF at the time. Anybody who bladed before 97 was doing so, well, basically Bret Hart was doing it. They were doing it without Vince's approval. You know, of course, when the Attitude Era happened, the blade came in heavy. You know, which it probably shouldn't have, but it did. But in WCW, they also had a no blading policy, which was kind of foisted upon them by Vince McMahon, who was against blading, and harassed Ted Turner about the amount of blood on WCW programs. And that did not stop WCW from being successful. The fact that they didn't have a lot of blood on their shows. In fact, if you hadn't mentioned it to anybody, they probably wouldn't have even noticed it. So when you look at Kevin Nash, you can't say, well, this guy, we need this stuff because this guy needed it. It's like, well, he didn't. He's not some ECW guy giving you advice. This was a guy who worked under Standards and Practices and Turner. Same people, or the same company, let's say, it wouldn't be the same people, but the same company that is over Dynamite and Rampage and Collision right now was the same company that, you know, wouldn't allow blood on WCW television. Now, so you don't really need it. But at the same time, Tony Khan wants this audience, the audience that he's got. That's the audience that he wants. That's the audience that he spent all of his time courting. That's the audience that he lives by, dies by. That's the audience that's buying the tickets to Wembley, which is why everybody's sitting back saying, those better be real people. You know, talk about the bots. Those better not be bots. You better not be getting, better not wash out all the scalpers that day, because I'm telling you, if 60 to 70,000 people don't work through those turnstiles, it's going to be a problem on the internet. Anyway, Kevin Nash is not wrong, but he's seen as an AEW hater because, you know, he's Triple H's buddy, so nobody's going to take him seriously. But he's not wrong. You know, there's a lot of people who are not into blood and guts, thumbtacks, and we've been calling it a bed of nails. Somebody said it was a bed of screwdrivers. I don't know which one it is, and it don't really matter that much. But the broken glass, whether it's real or not, you know, there's people who are not into that stuff, and they find it off-putting, especially when you put it on national television. You know, it's going to be very hard for you to get sponsors, which is always going to be an issue with AEW, and I would imagine it's been an issue for a long time. I've probably been one of the few people who have been asking, who the hell are AEW sponsors? You know, the commercials seem to be pretty run-of-the-mill, virtually the same commercials you see on Monday Night Raw and NXT. But at least you see sponsors with NXT and Monday Night Raw. You don't seem to see sponsorships at all. No ad reads from Excalibur. No, nothing. So maybe DraftKings and that's it. So you got to ask, is Tony Khan really footing the bill for this entire fiasco? You know, every single thing that's going on, like, he's a billionaire, he can afford it, but sheesh, you're not really running a business if you're not trying to offset some of that cost. I hope Warner Brothers is paying for some of this stuff. I hope so. It'll be the only way this thing would make sense. I thought this week's was Dynamite 200, but apparently it's next week. Okay. You would think they would have booked something huge for Dynamite 200, but they said, nope, we're just going to book some garbage. So there they go. Let's get into this show, however. Okay, so Darby Allin tells his origin story again, how he had to get out of Seattle. He left. He heard about AR Fox in Atlanta. He went down there, lived in his car, trained with AR Fox, learned his work ethic, learned that this guy has all of this stuff going on. He's one of the best guys in the world. And he says that without AR Fox, there would be no Darby Allin. So it was a no-brainer for him to ask Orange Cassidy to give AR Fox an opportunity. So we get the AR Fox Orange Cassidy match, and I could not have cared less about a match. AR Fox is a guy who just exists on this card. Even though I did like the corkscrew suplex spot that he did. I thought that was pretty good. But AR Fox is a guy, he's been around forever. He was in Evolve, so he's been near the WWE system. He was in Lucha Underground, which is where I think most of us know him from. I'm not sure if I saw him in Impact. I can't say that I did, but I do know he was in Lucha Underground. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So Orange Cassidy won the match. Then afterwards, AR Fox very stiffly just knocked Orange Cassidy's block off. You know, Darby immediately came out, got in AR Fox's face, said, "You embarrassed me." AR Fox was kind of apologetic. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. So later, Darby Allin wrestles Swerve Strickland, and they've wrestled 100 times. I think they've wrestled 2 or 3 times on this program. This match featured an incredibly dangerous spot in which they did a Death Valley driver from the second rope onto the apron, which looked nasty and was nowhere near the finish. So they just did it just cause. In addition to that, there was a spear spot where Darby Allin, similar to what Big E used to do when he would run and spear his opponents through the through the ropes, and Darby Allin landed on his head. The referee immediately ran out of the ring to see if Darby was still alive, and thankfully he was. At some point, AR Fox pushed Darby into the ring post, then rolled him back into the ring so Swerve could hit his finisher and win. So AR Fox then attacked Nick Wayne, who was throwing the worst punches in all of creation. My goodness. Go back and watch those Nick Wayne punches to Swerve after this match. Oh, they were some of the worst punches in wrestling history. My goodness. He punched like a guy who's never thrown a punch. He probably never even seen a punch thrown. Is he blind? My goodness, I've seen kung fu movies with more contact than that. It was awful, bro. Look, he's just a kid. I'm trying to, I try to cut these kids some slack. They knew, but sheesh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Anyway, AR Fox then attacked Darby, hit him with the skateboard, and all this kind of stuff. And then showed that he was joining the Mogul Embassy, which is Swerve's stable. And, okay, let's see if they actually explain why this happened. Hopefully they do, because they got something good here with Darby Allin and AR Fox. They started telling the story last week where Darby, goes on and asks Orange Cassidy for AR Fox an opportunity. And then he tells the story of what AR Fox means to him on this show. And so it's all starting to tie together, like this Darby Allin extended universe where his forever enemy Swerve Strickland, his mentor AR Fox, his young boy Nick Wayne, and now they all tied up in this storyline. This is actually good, This is actually good. So the AR Fox heel turn, very well done. I want to see if they're going to explain why he's joining the Mogul affiliates. And while they're doing that, I want them to explain what Swerve's character actually is. Because if he's supposed to be a mogul, quote unquote, why is he wearing a shiesty? Why is, like, I don't know, maybe he's trying to be like, Birdman or something like that. Is that his gimmick? Like he's like a Suge Knight type of character. But Suge Knight wore suits all the time. And that's where I was going to go with that. It's like, if he's supposed to be a mogul, if you're a mogul, you're supposed to dress like a mogul. He dressed like a guy going to the gas station to get a bag of chips and a juicy juice. He dressed like somebody's baby daddy. Like, that didn't look like a mogul to me. But I guess everybody has different, meanings of the term. But I hope that they actually put forth the effort to tell the story here of why AR Fox would turn and join Darby's worst enemy in Swerve. And if they do that, then it'll be pretty good. I could say that. AR Fox and Swerve being on the same side, they were partners in Lucha Underground. So Tony Khan continues to not really be that creative. Hey, we got Undisputed Era. Let's put them together. Hey, we got these two guys who work together in Lucha Underground. Let's put them together. I mean, okay. But at least there's more connective glue here because the Darby Allin connection is there, so it actually makes a lot more sense than it did in Lucha Underground, where they was just playing characters to both of them. Killshot is not a real person with like real roots or anything like that. So this worked for me. I like the Darby Allin stuff, even though I didn't like the matches because they featured guys in styles of match that I don't really like. I did enjoy the story elements. So this stuff was actually pretty good. So Jericho and Don Callis backstage. Don Callis has a portrait of him and Chris Jericho with Bad News Allen hanging over them like God himself, which is supposed to be a representation of the promo that they showed last week. And Jericho is like, oh my goodness, this is... what I'm supposed to do with this? Like, it's huge. So it was great. It's truly a tremendous picture. The art piece is great. So Don Callis took it upon himself to book Chris Jericho in a tag team match with Konosuke Takeshita. And Jericho was like, okay, Takeshita's pretty cool. All right, fine. That's fine. And then he says, well, your opponents, Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara. And Jericho was like, Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara? And Don Callis was like, look, hey, you wanted these guys to go and spread their wings. What better an opportunity to see how good they've gotten as a team. And Jericho was like, okay, let's do it. I'm still in. And I was like, okay, now I know something is up. Jericho's willing to fight his young boys. I love that art piece, though. That art piece is fantastic. So because Jericho is going to fight Sammy Guevara, we get a segment later in the show where the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society, which will be Anna Jay, Ty Mello, and 2.0, they have an intervention on Chris Jericho in his locker room where the picture hangs on the wall and everybody's looking at the picture as if it's, magic or something like that. Like we know where it came from already. So Jericho pretends that he cares about Ty Mello and this baby, which nobody does, not even the parents. Then 2.0, the skinny 2.0, starts going on about this comb, I guess, that Jericho gave him and how much he loves this comb and how much the Jericho Appreciation Society means to him and how it means a lot to everybody. But he's worried that Jericho isn't fully in anymore. So then Anna Jay had to be the one to come in and set the record straight, saying that Jericho has been selfish. They spend all this time appreciating him, but he doesn't appreciate them. And until he gets some appreciation for them, they can't give him 100%. They all start to walk out, disappointed in Chris, upset with him. This is what I wanted them to do last week, so they just held it off to this week. Okay, this isn't too bad either. Even though I don't like the Jericho Appreciation Society, at least they're showing that this matters. Now, I don't understand why Jericho joining Don Callis means that he cannot continue being Chris Jericho, which is the point of the Jericho Appreciation Society, is that they would appreciate Chris Jericho. Like, do you stop appreciating somebody because they start being friends with somebody else? And it would make sense if there was a reason why they couldn't be friends with Don Callis. Like if there was something between the JAS and Don Callis and then Jericho was kind of like forgiving it, I would understand. But why can't they just partner up with Takeshita and Don Callis too? Like that has to be like, that would be something that you might want to look into. Like, why can't these things form? Why can't they be all together? Why can't that happen? I don't know. But the dissolution of the Jericho Appreciation Society because Jericho's going off doing his own thing and not wanting to be with them. Okay, I can buy this. I'm all right with it. It's far from one of the worst things they've done, I can tell you that much. Now, let's back up a little bit. Because after AR Fox obliterated Orange Cassidy, Jon Moxley did the same damn thing. He came out there and he beat up Orange Cassidy. Afterwards, Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta, they were cutting a promo in the locker room. But here's the funny thing. Claudio was cutting a promo. He was talking about telling kids not to play with fire and don't play with the Blackpool Combat Club. And he says that Pac didn't take his beating like a man. He was talking very slow, very deliberately. He was talking too slow for Moxley, who came in and cut his promo completely off and just started talking about something completely different. about, threatening the Lucha Brothers and saying that, these guys jumped his boys while he wasn't there. This is from, the Ring of Honor show. So they're trying to tie everything together. Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, YouTube shows. It's all just being tied together. But at least I watched the Ring of Honor show, so I did see this. I did see Pac and the Lucha Brothers jump the Blackpool Combat Club. I did see the Best Friends come out there and fight them. So I know what all of this is about. None of it makes sense, because why is the Best Friends involved with this? They had nothing to do with the reason why the Blackpool Combat Club and Death Triangle are fighting. Like, that's the feud. Pac walked out on the Blackpool Combat Club, and in doing so, he pissed off Claudio. They had a match at the Ring of Honor show. Claudio won the match, and then they jumped him. Death Triangle jumped them and beat them up. And then for some reason, unbeknownst to somebody like me, the Best Friends are now involved. So I don't know. It went from being simple to being complex, because now it went from being 3-on-3 to 9 people. And I'm like, maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too much. I don't know. Let me know. I think it's too much. Anyway, speaking of Pac, he wrestled Gravity, who is the brother of Bandito. Now, I watched Gravity's match with Commander, but I didn't see his entrance. So here I see Gravity. He's dressed like an astronaut, but even more than that, he's doing the in space walk. So like the slow steps, and I'm telling you, it made me laugh out loud. I was laughing out loud at how ridiculous him walking. One step for man, one step for mankind. I was dying. And then he did it in the middle of the match too. It was hilarious, bro. It was hilarious. I don't know if I ever need to see this guy again, but the astronaut walk is absolutely hilarious. Now, what was not hilarious is the booking of this match and the inside joke in this match. And they booked this match for the purpose of telling the inside joke. The inside joke being that Pac was at one point known as the man that Gravity forgot. So now you have a guy named Gravity, and he's wrestling Pac. So now they spent the first 2 minutes with Pac like, do you know who I am? Do you recognize me? Do you remember me? Do you remember me? And I'm just sitting here like, if you're an average viewer, even though Excalibur just mentioned it, you don't know what the fuck is going on. And the crowd wasn't really even reacting to it. It didn't even get over. Like, they booked a match for an internet meme, and it didn't even get over. At one point, Pac is in the corner. Forget me not! Forget me not! As he shoves at Gravity's face. And I'm just like, bro, okay, look, just stop it, all right? Just cut it out. Let's get through this match, please. They did a lot of Lucha Libre stuff. Pac wins with the brutalized after a superplex. Because even though I think Pac is supposed to be the babyface in this situation, even though he's kind of not, he was holding on to the brutalizer after the match. Nobody did anything. He just did it on his own. That was pretty much it. And they booked this match for an inside joke, which is the dumbest thing in the world. So dumb. So hilarious. I don't know why you would do that, but they did it anyway. All right, so this leads to the main event. Claudio and Moxley versus Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers. In a match that was billed as a triple threat tag team match, but turned essentially into some kind of no-holds-barred kind of thing. Because there's no such thing as rules in AEW. So nobody knows who's legal and who isn't. Moxley's strangling people with his shirt. They're outside the ring forever. They're jumping in and out of the ring forever. I don't know what's going on. I understand. I didn't really care, but it would be nice to know, like when I take a look at the TV, that something recognizable is going on. And that did not happen. It didn't happen at all. So then Orange Cassidy comes out there and he decks Wheeler Yuta, which, perfectly legal. You can hit somebody who's not in the match. But then he starts fighting Moxley. And Moxley is one of the legal competitors in the match. The referee is not in any way obstructed. How could he not see Orange Cassidy hitting Moxley and call it disqualification? That means this match is no disqualification. If the referee if the referee sees you making contact with another performer and he doesn't call it disqualification, then there's no disqualification, right? Clearly, the referee has been told this match is no disqualification. Anyway, things just become absolutely chaotic. It fell apart, as things tend to do when it comes to triple threat matches in AEW. And Pentagon ended up pinning Trent. I don't know if those are the right people in the match. It don't matter. It don't matter. And they continued to brawl afterwards. It sucked. It sucked hard. I couldn't tell whether people was coming or going. I don't like Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. Why are they in this? Why are they even involved with this? Maybe somebody in the comment section who pays more attention can explain to me why Best Friends is involved with this. But I was interested in Death Triangle versus the Blackpool Combat Club because I like Death Triangle, you know. But oh my God, this is blows chunks. This is no good. And then they set up the next week's match, Trent, Moxley, and Pentagon in an anything goes match, which is going to be different from this match. How? I guess each of their partners are missing, so that's how this match is going to be different. Like, bro, this is so dumb. This is ridiculous. Where are we going with this anyway? You know, why Trent is not a main event talent? Okay, flabby Chuck Taylor, doughy Chuck Taylor, you know, yeasty Chuck. That guy is not a main event talent. All right, he's not main event. He's not ready for prime time. Never was. Why are they in this situation here? Penta and Phoenix, love those guys. I don't understand why they was in Ring of Honor all this time, but love them. They're great. Thumbs up. You know, Claudio, amazing, very good. Yuta, I don't really tolerate him. Moxley, like him too. Blackpool Combat Club, Death Triangle, I like that. Thumbs up. Okay, that's fine. Why is Best Friends here? What do they want out of this situation? Why should I care about what they're doing? You know, they're in this situation to take pinfalls, apparently. You know, that's not really necessary. Like, we don't really need. Yuta can take pinfalls. Phoenix can take pinfalls. You know, even Penta can take pinfalls. We don't need Trent to take pinfalls. That's stupid. There's been some whispers, of course, after Moxley attacked Orange Cassidy that he might win that international title. I don't see why he would. You know, it wouldn't hurt the belt for Moxley to have it. It would put Orange Cassidy over if he was the only person he could lose to as like a former 2 or 3 time world champion. But what do you do with the belt once Moxley's got it? You basically do the same thing you do now, which is, you know, you wrestle a bunch of matches, he wins a bunch of matches, and then he loses eventually to somebody else who's going to do the exact same thing. So, I don't know. I saw people having the conversation about Orange Cassidy again online, about whether Orange Cassidy is a good worker or not. Conan has been trying to sell people on him. Even Disco was trying to sell people on him. It's hard to get into and take anybody seriously who wrestles with their hands in their pockets. And, you know, even if you say, well, he can go, it's part of his psychology. Who goes into a fight with their hands in their pockets outside of like Jackie Chan? Like, it's not a Jackie Chan movie, dog. You know, this stuff is supposed to have some level of legitimacy to it. And, you know, I guess this is what keeps him from wrestling really top guys anymore. Like, he wrestled Jericho. I think that was the highest he went. I think he might have wrestled MJF at a time. But you think they think so highly of Orange Cassidy that he should be in the conversation and be world champion or something like that. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. And it's got to be because of the gimmick. Even though they give so much time to him. And everybody swears that he's super over and all this kind of stuff. They're going out of their way to make sure that you see him as a solid upper mid-card act and nothing more, with the occasional funny gimmick. And I know it's been 4 years of people arguing about Orange Cassidy. So I kind of don't really want to delve into that anymore. But seeing people like, he's a good worker. I'm like, well, I thought work meant that your shit's supposed to look realistic. There's nothing realistic about this guy. He's skinny as shit. And he wrestles with his hands in his pockets. What's realistic about that? You know? I guess because he's over, it doesn't matter. I don't think so. I don't buy that one. I think most people just like this guy because they like his matches, and that's fine, but you got to have more to it than that. As I said, though, I don't want to litigate whether people should like Orange Cassidy or not. I think it's kind of dumb, to be quite honest. I mean, to have the same arguments again and again, especially when there's more important things to discuss. All right, next, we got Jack Perry. Jack Perry comes out wearing orange and black. That's to mock Taz. He's got a shirt that says, I beat Hook. It's a classic, but it's also kind of mid because you're supposed to have it in big, bold letters, but it's in like small letters. He's wearing a sleeveless shirt, which is very reminiscent of Christian Cage. He still got Beethoven as an entrance theme, so I guess we're sticking with that. Jack Perry cuts a promo, says after one loss, Hook realized he can't hang. Then he says, when he said he was going to win a championship, he didn't mean the FTW title. He said this title has never been recognized anywhere until he got it. Now it's the real deal because he's the real deal. He said he's the best guy to ever hold that title, and he will run circles around Taz and all of his ECW buddies. Okay. Then Jerry Lynn came out, said that ECW paved the way for guys like him, guys like Jungle Boy, I should say. And that Jungle Boy keeps running his mouth, he's going to get his ass kicked. Then Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, says, who's going to kick my ass? And Jerry Lynn drops his mic. So Jungle Boy's like, okay, look, you're going to, okay. I see I'm not ready to go yet. But how about I see you next week? Now, they did not build this as a match. They built it as a face-to-face. So they're probably going to debut somebody who's going to fight Jungle Boy. Who's probably going to be from ECW. That's what I would guess. So, Super Crazy, maybe? I know he's still wrestling. Tajiri? None of those guys were FTW champion, but... You know, there was only 2 ECW, FTW champions. That was Taz and Sabu, and both of them are too old to wrestle, and both are retired. So, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do, but it's going to have to be some kind of ECW guy that's going to be involved with this. Possibly Rob Van Dam, maybe? I don't know. Why would Rob Van Dam want to be involved with this? I don't know. But the promo in and of itself was okay. They trying to force this Jack Perry to be the Rey Mysterio of AEW. Like, he literally pauses every time people react. Like, every time there's a minor reaction to something he says, he pauses like it's going to grow into something bigger, and it never does. Like, that's not how it works. The thing is, Dominic doesn't pause. No, he tries to talk over them, and they drown him out, and then he stops. You know, Jungle Boy talks, and then as soon as they say, boo, he said, what? Are you going to react? Is it going to build? Like, it's not bubbling, man. It's not bubbling. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. Maybe if you talked more, it'll bubble more. But you keep pausing, the people are just going to stop. Right? Which is humorous, because it's not really working out. But I do want to know where this is going, because Jerry Lynn, I definitely think he's too old to be wrestling. Even to have a fight, I think he's too old. So that means they're probably setting it up for some kind of surprise. But who could it be of people who are still active in ECW? Who could it be? I don't know. Psychosis, maybe? I don't know. But Jack Perry is kind of bland in terms of his promo. He's trying to go, I'm the best wrestler in the business, yada, 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 but nobody believes him. Nobody believes you. You need more people. Nobody believes him. Where is his girlfriend? Why is his girlfriend not with him? This is like the 4th week, well, 3rd, because he ain't been healed that long, where everybody's asking the very basic question of, Anna Jay being with him would make him look so much cooler. Why is she not with him? Why she wants to hang out with Chris Jericho? No! Anna should be his Paul Heyman. She should be holding the FTW title behind him and all this kind of stuff. He should be showing her off. That's instant heat. Why not do that? It's not like people don't know, for Christ's sake. We're trying to keep a secret for us. They've been kissing online for like months now. Come on, bro. Stop it. All right, so Britt Baker, she cut a promo. She was lifeless. Said she was surprised by the call out by Taya Valkyrie and excited for this first time match. But she's going to drag Taya Valkyrie into the deep end and remind everybody that TBS is the Britt show. So this leads us to one of the worst matches to take place on this program in a long time. Like, there's been some really bad matches on Dynamite, especially in the first 2 or 3 years. It was terrible stuff on there. Sonny Kiss and Slater. What was his name? The aerosol can guy. You know, those people, they were awful. Gee, they were dreadful. And then it got better. Out of nowhere, you know, Danielson came in, Cole, Keith Lee. They got an influx of talent after WWE fired a bunch of people. And the talent got so much better. And then matches kind of sucked, but they sucked because they were cold or because they were too long. And it was just because I wasn't interested in the characters. I actually wanted to see this. Believe it or not, I actually wanted to watch Britt Baker versus Taya Valkyrie. And they spit in my eye. This match was awful. They have no chemistry. This was another situation in which Taya basically gave up in the middle of the match. Look, she's had 0 good matches since she came to AEW. I think she probably had 1 or 2 decent ones. But she's not clicked with anybody. The point of this match where I was like, this thing is falling apart, please end it soon. Taya had Britt Baker up like for the road to Valhalla, which, you know, the Glam Slam. And Britt Baker, I guess, leaned forward and Taya couldn't hold her. And so Britt Baker took a face first bump. So then Taya just sat down. And she just sat there confused. And Britt just sold, but she didn't sell it like she had gotten hit with a finisher. Because she didn't. She fell. And from there, it just got worse and worse. They tried to do a spot where Britt Baker would jump off the top rope, and then Taya would catch her and do a Northern Light suplex. Britt Baker jumped off the ropes, literally landed on both feet, and then Taya grabbed her and did the Northern Light suplex. It's not supposed to look that way. It's supposed to look like you caught them in midair, even though you didn't, and did the Northern Light suplex. It just looked awful. Everything about this match was the shits. It was stiff, but it wasn't stiff as in they was hitting each other hard. It was stiff as in there was no fluidity in their movements. The timing was not there. It was awful. Boy, this was dreadful. I swear to God, if this was Dana Brooke or somebody who had been trained by WWE that was this bad and having this shitty of a run, you would never hear. If this was Lacey Evans and they was having matches this fucking bad, like Taya Valkyrie is having, and I'm a big Taya Valkyrie fan. I am. I was a fan of hers in Impact. I had nothing but positive stuff to say about her when she went to NXT, and then she hit that fucking wall. Man, she hit that wall like a crash dummy. And she looked dazed and confused in NXT from time to time, which is why she ended up getting fired. You know? They could have called her up to the main roster. Instead, they just got rid of her. You know? She has not been looking good. She has looked out of shape. She has looked... The timing is off. I don't know what's going on with Taya. But this is the worst Taya Valkyrie has looked in a really, really long time. I don't even want to blame Britt for this because Taya hasn't had a good match yet. She hasn't had a good match yet in AEW. They keep giving her the spotlight, and she is not delivering. But I will say this. I said, well, I already said it. If it was somebody trained by WWE, a Dana Brooke, a Liv Morgan, or somebody like that, and they were having shitty matches like this, they would never stop talking about it. But because it's somebody with the pedigree of Taya Valkyrie, who's been around for a really long time, she's getting a lot of bail from the AEW audience. No bail. She's awful, bro. She is the shits. I don't know. She might need to take some time off, get in better shape, or work on her timing. They need to run some house shows or something, because she is not good. This is not the Taya Valkyrie I watched in AAA. This is not the Taya Valkyrie I watched in Impact. She's the shits now, bro. Maybe she's just old and washed. Maybe that's just the case. She's going to collect these Tony Khan paychecks, and she's just old and washed. But this is not good. She's having really bad matches on this television screen, dog. She's, oof. I was thinking to myself the whole time, too, how do you book this match where you can, keep this thing going? Because Britt's got nothing else going for her. Why not, continue this thing with Taya? Then not even after, like in the middle of this match, I just wanted it to be over. And praise God that it was over and I survived it. And said, I would be happy if I never saw these two in the same ring again. I'm at the point I don't even want to see Taya in the ring again. For fuck's sake, she has been the shits lately. Ugh. She's been sticking up the joint, man. She's been having them Dana Brooke specials in there. Stop it. Ugh. All right. So the promo battle between MJF, Adam Cole, and FTR. Let's talk about this. As MJF took over the segment, says that he liked FTR more when they were his lackeys. He talked about Cash Wheeler's mullet, business in the front, party in the back. Then he ripped on Dax, which was hilarious because he talked about Dax's Yosemite Sam mustache, which was great. Mr. Clean bald head, FTR bald, we call him that. How he repeats himself about, this is how I feed my family. This is how I feed my daughter. And my daughter, I got anxiety. I got anxiety problems. I got so upset, I didn't know what to do. And I couldn't feed my daughter. I tried to find ways to feed my daughter. And he did it too. He made fun of Dak's accent. It was great. This was fantastic. Then he said the only three letters that matter in AEW are MJF. And then so Adam Cole says that MJF is becoming his best friend. His best friend. His really good friend. And MJF says, look, hey, bud, after win, lose, or draw, after July 29th, I will give you the match for the world championship. And Adam Cole was like, really? Oh, thanks, bud. So then out of nowhere comes Roderick Strong, still wearing a neck brace, shoving MJF, yelling at him. MJF yells at Roderick Strong. Adam Cole separates them. He says he needs to have a minute with Roddy. He wants to talk to Roddy for a minute. So we're gonna put a thumbtack right here because we're gonna talk about FTR first, and then we're gonna come back to this. So FTR here says that MJF calls himself a generational athlete, but he's just a generational ass kisser, and that he was in the pinnacle with MJF. He knows everything about him, and everybody who ever gets to know MJF ends up leaving him, including his fiance. And everybody's like, ooh. But he's sorry that Adam Cole is stuck in the middle of this because he really likes Adam Cole. Adam Cole's a really nice guy. He's a good neighbor. Keeps his lawn cut, waves high every morning. Very nice guy. Great guy. Will bring you a cupcake for your birthday with a little candle in it and everything. Just wonderful human being. Pets your dog every time you see him. Just a nice guy. Nicest guy in the world, apparently, according to FTR. So, Dax got on the stick and says that he likes Adam Cole too. But Adam Cole owns a win over him. He's trying to try to not make it too. Then he says that MJF has been making a mockery of tag team wrestling, making a mockery of the AEW tag team championships. And then he says he's sure that MJF said something negative about his accent, but if he says something about his family, he's going to rip his eyeballs out. I'm going to rip your eyeballs out. This is how I feed my family. This is how I feed my daughter. This is how I feed everybody. This is how I feed my puppy. This is how I feed my grandpa. It's like, oh my God. Shut up, bald. Shut your ass, bald. But they all agree that Adam Cole is a very nice guy. You know, very nice guy. Will let you borrow some sugar from his kitchen. Just greatest guy of all time. Will help you cut your grass. Wonderful guy. Great guy. Back massages, foot massages, whole 9 yards. Great guy. So, speaking of Adam Cole being a great guy. Okay, so pick up that pen, that thumbtack. We got to go back to Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. So Roderick Strong, my goodness, is like, MJF is playing you. You're going to look stupid. So Adam Cole tells Roderick Strong that he's coming across as being very possessive. I have other friends, Roddy. Okay? I can be more than just your friend, Roddy. He's just a friend, Roddy. He's just my bud. It's like you're my bud. You're my best friend, Roddy. Then says that you're pushing me away. Don't you just get that? You're pushing me away. And then Roderick Strong grabbed him by the arm. He snatched away and was like, boundaries. I was like, you are like literally 10 seconds from, that's my purse. I don't know you. And kicking him in the nuts. Why is everything so fucking effeminate with these guys? And latently homosexual? You're pushing me away? That's not how men talk to each other. You're possessive. That's not how men talk to each other. You're talking to another man, Adam Cole. Just tell him to back off. You know, like, yo, chill. What the fuck wrong with you? You're being very possessive, Roddy. I need space, Roddy. I'm like, what the? Oh, come on. Yeah, come on. Come on, man. What? What next? He gonna take all his stuff out of the apartment or something? Like, what's going on here, man? He gonna block you on social media next? Like, what the hell? This is not how men talk to each other. Please do something else. These guys have to recognize what they're doing, right? They have to realize that if you watch yourself on television and you come across this effect as Adam Cole did here, you would recognize it, wouldn't you? I would hope so. Because this shit jumped out at me like a sore thumb. I was like, God damn. You know? What's happening here? Is MJF his work wife? Well, why we got to go through all this? Let's never do this again. Okay? Let's just never sound like this again. Let's not sound like that again. All right. What else was on this show? Okay, so let's talk about some of this Rampage and Collision business before we wrap things up. I got a little bit more time. So, Rampage. Apparently, Nyla Rose is wrestling Hikaru Shida in what is apparently a number one contenders match. And why would either one of these people be the number one contender? I haven't seen Shida in months. Why would she be in the conversation to be a number one contender? And Nyla Rose, for obvious reasons, has nothing to do with the AEW women's title. For starters, women's title have nothing to do with this. All right. Nyla Rose should not be in this position. This is the dumbest thing in the world. You have so many other higher caliber women, and you're going to bog Toni Storm down with either Shida, who everybody likes, but you're not doing anything with her. She's ice fucking cold. Or the botch machine, Nyla Rose. Come, you can't do better than this. Now, this is because, that there's a dork. Pure dork. I mean, mama's a dork, daddy's a dork, granddaddy was a dork, great grandfather was a dweeb at some point. Hold up a sign that says, book the women's division better. And everybody's posting it. Everybody's got it all on their mind. Oh, this guy, he's so woke. Clappity clap clap. He's got the right idea. It's like, look, man, I can't even disagree with the dorks. This guy's pure dork from his neck to his navel. I can't disagree with him. Your women's division is garbage. If you have nothing for Chris Statlander whatsoever, the only thing you got for Britt Baker is a one-off with Taya Valkyrie, and the match was the shits. And then you book Nyla Rose versus Shida in a number one contenders match. Who the hell wants to see that? And even worse, nobody wants to see the winner of that wrestle Toni Storm. No, nobody. Jesus. Come on. You can do better than this. You at least try. Try to do better than this. This is abysmal. And then the tag team thing. They booked a tag team battle royal for Rampage in which the Hardy Boys are in it. The Hardy Boys. Matt and Jeff Hardy. Because Jeff Hardy has to prove himself, according to Jeff Hardy. He's got to work his way back to Dynamite. What? Oh, I'm not worthy of a Dynamite spot. I'm not worthy to be on the same show as AR fucking Fox. What is... I don't care. Well, I'm about to say I don't care how many DUIs he got. I do care. But you don't... Jeff Hardy, trust me, bro. You are Dynamite worthy, okay? Take my word for it. If Taya Valkyrie could be on that show, you should be on that show, okay? If Wheeler Yuta can be on that show, you should be on that show, all right? Trust me. Being on Dynamite is not, the be-all, end-all. I'm on my redemption story. No, get the fuck. I don't even remember who else was in this match. I don't care. You've stuck the Hardy Boys in here. Just retire them, man. Just let them go sit at home and collect a paycheck. Put them on a pension or something. Get them a 5 or 10 year CD. Some nice little investments, and say, you guys live off the interest. I'll see you later. Just don't go back to WWE, or unless they call you for the Hall of Fame. Because this makes no sense. This is useless bumps on their bodies. This is useless bumps. And if you were going to put the Hardys over, then put them over on Dynamite or Collision, where FTR could interact with them and they could interact with FTR. And look, I get it. The Hardys are nowhere near what they used to be. And I'm not saying that, but even if a legend has diminished, you still don't put them on the equivalent of main events or your least watched program. All right? That's just disrespectful. You better off not using them than diminishing them to this degree. All right? To them being teamed up against Ethan Page and guy. Come on. Come on. You can't. It sucks. This sucks. And then the suckish continues. Buddy Murphy. I'm sorry, Matthews. That's his name now. His name is Matthews. He cuts a promo on Andrade El Idolo. Look at me. Andrade El Idolo. Saying that he's going to... You have to climb the ladder to hell. Which, hell is up now? Hell is upwards now. That makes sense. Okay. So, climb the ladder to hell to retrieve his mask. And if he doesn't, the House of Black are going to burn it. They're going to burn his mask. Which means, they're going to torch his heritage, his history, all this kind of stuff. I honestly like the stipulation. Win the mask or we're going to burn it. And they've put some effort into the mask and what it means to Andrade. The ladder to hell sounds stupid, but at least, Andrade gets his thing back, or he has to, they're going to destroy everything that he stands for, which is represented by the mask. Okay, at least that's fun. I know he's better. You better keep one eye open. Your girl getting stretched on Tuesdays. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, buddy? When they start chanting Dom at you, dirty Dom at you, what you gonna do? You gonna just start throwing your fist at the air or whatever? He gonna fight the first person that call him that yells about Dirty Dom in public. He gonna fight him. I guarantee it. He gonna have nightmares. Somebody gonna spray paint Dirty Dom on his car or some shit like that, and he gonna get really upset. Maybe that's how Andrade should win. Maybe he should have like a cell phone in his pocket, and then when they get onto the top of the ladder, there's one of those pictures of Dominic and Rhea with their heads all touching Indian with Eskimo kissing and rubbing their noses together, and and Buddy Murphy is gonna flip out and maybe like 450 splash himself over the top rope onto the floor or some shit. You know, it's got to be creative ways to escape this situation that you find yourself in. He's probably fighting. Oh God, I fight every night. Prove my love. Anyway, this is a really not good episode of Dynamite, which is usual for Dynamite. Too much Orange Cassidy, way too much. The triple threat tag team match was a goddamn cluster. Couldn't tell left from right. Who was pass and go? What are the fucking rules? You know, nobody has any idea what on earth or what's going on here. A lot of emphasis on AR Fox. Okay, if you want to make the guy interesting, continue. So don't decide that next week we don't need to know who AR Fox is anymore and where he's going anymore, and you completely drop it like you did with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Hey, remember that story? Where did that story go? That story went nowhere. AEW is so good at telling stories. Where did that story go? They were tag team partners. The story's just done. Story's over. You know, moving on. We're doing something else now. Don't pay attention to that. Adam Cole MJF stuff remains the hottest thing on the show. Too bad they didn't do any in-ring stuff with them, which they probably should have done. Unfortunately, Adam Cole comes across like a bitch in these promos with Roderick Strong, which I'm not a fan of. Fix that, you know. That could be easily fixed. The Jericho Don Callis stuff is intriguing, even though we're pretty sure Jericho is not joining. It's just been interesting, I guess, with Don Callis being funny about it, with the portrait and those two having secret dinners and everything. That stuff been pretty fun. Taya Valkyrie and Britt Baker surpassed Dana Brooke and Cora Jade as one of the shittiest matches on American television in the month of July. This July, you know, shitty match, super shitty, the shittiest of shitty. It's really bad. Tony Khan wrote out all those rules and sent out a memo to all the talent and said, hey, you can't choke anybody. Then Moxley goes out and chokes somebody. Hey, you guys shouldn't be blading. They blade the very next week. Hey, you guys shouldn't be dropping each other on the ring apron. They do it anyway. You guys shouldn't be going out and knocking people, you know, into the crowd. They do it anyway. You shouldn't be having contact with the audience. Jungle Boy smacks some kid's hat or something like that on this show. Like, hey, all these things we told you not to do, you guys are still doing it. You guys are still doing it. Okay, but I guess they're technically rules, but if you don't follow them, then what? It's like, hey, shoplifting is illegal in San Francisco, but if nobody gets arrested, is it really illegal? No, you're the idiot if you follow the rules at this point, right? If you continue to follow the rules, you're the dumbass. So these guys are doing whatever they want, which is, I guess, is what AEW is built on. You can't be mad at the guys for sticking to what made them hot, which is, you know, we do whatever we want here. So it is what it is. But the show was mid as fuck, as usual. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you guys later. Peace.